Welcome back to Mount Olympus, Tiny Epics. In this video, we'll explore the bright Olympian god Apollo and a few of his fascinating myths. We'll unveil some of his more hidden sides too, like his role as the god of prophecy at his mysterious oracle at Delphi. There's plenty of adventure too, like the crazy story of his birth involving a giant serpent dragon named Python. And what Greek myth would be complete without a little romance and tragedy, like the heartbreaking story of Apollo and Hyacinth. While you're here, why not take a moment to subscribe to the channel? You'll gain access to exclusive sneak previews and can vote on future video topics. Apollo is a beautiful figure in Greek poetry, writes Edith Hamilton, the master musician who delights Olympus as he plays on his golden lyre. The lord too of the silver bow, the archer god, far shooting. The healer as well, who first taught men the healing art. He's the god of light in whom there's no darkness at all, and so he is the god of truth. Apollo's most famous nickname is Phoebus. It means bright one and indicates his connection to the sun. But Apollo is not the sun god. That role belongs to an older divinity, the Titan named Helios. In contrast to Helios as the literal embodiment of the sun, Apollo's role is much more nuanced. He reflects the light from the sun, yes, but he also inspires in his worshippers an inward kind of spiritual radiance. Apollo loves to be in the company of strong and independent women, like the delightful Muses, or his twin sister Artemis, with whom he shares a love of archery, an art form which they invented together. But don't assume Apollo can't fight just because he's a refined and rather sensitive god. He's incredibly powerful, too, when he needs to be, and can cause plague or instant death with his arrows. This is the small mystical island of Delos, famous the world over as the birthplace of Apollo and his sister. The story of their birth begins with Zeus getting it on with a titaness named Leto, and quickly escalates into a bizarre soap opera-like episode. Here's how one version goes. After making love with Zeus, Leto became pregnant with his divine offspring, Apollo and Artemis. But Zeus was already married to his sister Hera. When Hera found out that her brother/husband cheated on her with Leto, she unleashed her fury on the beautiful goddess and cursed her to be rejected by all the lands of the earth. Hera, whose wrath was far from satiated, decided to also send the creature Python, child of Gaia, to hunt her down. When she thought that all hope was lost and she would be consumed by the beast, Leto suddenly heard the voice of her unborn child inside her head. Apollo's voice guided her to the magical floating island called Delos. Since the island itself wandered and therefore was technically not considered land, Leto was welcomed there and gave birth to her divine twins under a palm tree. All the goddesses, except Hera, of course, were present to witness the spectacular event. Look at that, a happy ending, unless, of course, you side with Hera in this situation. Shortly after his birth, the precocious Apollo avenged his mother Leto by hunting down Python and slaying the creature with his silver arrows. I picture him somehow doing this as a fat little baby, since it's uncertain how long the Greek gods remained babies. But I guess time is irrelevant to the gods, and 18 years can pass in the mere blink of an eye. The killing of Python took place at the site of what would become Apollo's oracle at Delphi, located under towering Mount Parnassus. Ancient Greeks believed that Delphi was both the spiritual and literal center of the world. It should be mentioned that the creature Python was sometimes described not as a monster, but as an earth spirit who possessed its own powers of prophecy. Python served as the guardian of the site at Delphi long before Apollo claimed it for himself. The high priestess at Delphi was called Pythia, by the way, stemming from the sacred serpent Python. This is a recurring feature in Greek mythology. The new order conquers the old, but pays tribute to the earlier power it supplants. The serpent was a highly potent symbol throughout the ancient Greek world and connects to Apollo in his role as a healer. As Apollo's son Asclepius, god of medicine, is seen with a serpent entwined around his staff. Edith Hamilton described the mysterious ritual that occurred at Apollo's shrine at Delphi. She wrote, "No other shrine rivaled it. The answers to the questions asked by the anxious seekers of truth were delivered by a priestess who went into a trance before she spoke. The trance was supposed to be caused by a vapor rising from a deep cleft in the rock over which her seat was placed, a three-legged stool called the tripod." She goes on to write, "Apollo at Delphi was a purely beneficent power, a direct link between gods and men, guiding men to know the divine will." Apollo's love affairs are a late development in mythology, and they tend to show him as a less otherworldly figure and as a much more human one. Apollo is known to have had female as well as male lovers, but he doesn't seem to be very lucky when it comes to love, certainly not in the story I'm about to tell you. There was once a Spartan prince named Hyacinth, who was so beautiful that Apollo and Zephyrus, god of the west wind, both fell in love with him at first sight. Hyacinth chose the radiant Apollo, but unfortunately, the two had a very short-lived romance. One day, Apollo and Hyacinth played a game involving a metal discus. Apollo threw first, with such strength that the discus ripped through the clouds in the sky. Hyacinth ran to catch it and impress Apollo, but as the discus hit the ground, it bounced back, hitting the unlucky prince in the head and fatally wounding him. Apollo tried to use his healing powers on his dying lover, but nothing worked. The injury was too severe, too much blood had been lost. He cried out towards Olympus, but it was too late. Nothing could be done to save him. When Hyacinth died in his arms, Apollo wept golden tears and blamed himself for the tragedy that had unfolded. He loved Hyacinth so much that he wished to become human himself so that he could die and join his lover in the underworld. As that was, of course, impossible for a god, Apollo promised that he would always remember Hyacinth in his songs and in the sweet music of his lyre. It's said that Apollo also created a flower in his honor from the blood that fell from the prince's beautiful curly hair. He named it the Hyacinth in his honor, and it was considered by the Greeks to be the most beautiful of all flowers. I really hate to say goodbye to you on this tragic note, but I think I've already given you all quite a lot to process. But don't worry, we can console each other in the comments section. Let me know what you thought of the video, and please hop into the conversation with any thoughts you may have about Apollo or any of his myths. If you'd like to learn about his twin sister Artemis, just tap the link that appears on your screen, or click on the link I provided in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching.